So in today's episode, we are going to be going through a list that I made a few minutes ago, just as I was playing the actual game to just test things out to see where we left off yesterday. But today we're going to be going through that list, and it mainly consists of bug fixes that we need to fix, and then I want to make one or two changes to a few things in the actual game. So we're going to go through this list and just take them off as we go along. We'll probably have to do this in the next one, or this episode, or maybe another one, depending on how long each thing takes. Um, but to start off with, let's go and see what we have to do. So the first thing I want to do is I want to add another boolean to the camera rotating script, and this is mainly because hold on, let's open up our rotating script here. So this is all it is. So what I want to do is I want to add a new, where is it, over here, this is to our game object, because for our development we don't really want our camera to be rotating because it just makes the game a little bit harder. And yeah, we could just simply disable it by taking this box, but what I want to do is because it's very simple, I'm going to go ahead and add in a boolean that will add a checkbox actually onto our script, and then using that checkbox, if it's ticked, obviously we're going to go and rotate the camera around the scene, and if it's not ticked, then we're not going to rotate it. But because that will be in our script, we will eventually be able to add some sort of option in our menus, in our menu for the game later on down the line when we actually create a menu for our game. And that will allow the player to turn on the rotating of the script if we allow that, because we haven't really decided if we are going to make it part of a harder level that we get a rotating camera, or if it's just going to be a choice by the player. But for now, we'll go and implement it because it's pretty much just one line of code, I think, and then we'll see what happens. So in here, let's go and create a public, or we can create a serialized field. Actually, I've never actually created a serialized field for a boolean, but we'll see if it works. It should do. Private bool is rotating. So that's all it's going to be, and we're going to set this equal to true by default. And then in our update method, before we actually go and rotate our game object, we are going to check to see if is rotating. If that's true, then we can go and rotate the game object. So I think that is pretty much it. So we'll go back into our script and see if that works. So we have this checkbox now. What I'm going to do is, just to make it look better, I'm going to remove it from the bottom and put it on the top, just like that. So it should appear at the top now. There it is. So let's play the game and see if it actually works. So it does work, and if we go and tick that box, it doesn't spin. So that's good. So for now, I'm actually going to change it. I'm going to set it to false. If I can type, I'm going to set that to false because we don't want it to rotate unless we tick that box. Did I save that? I'm pretty sure I'd save that. Save it, and then come back in here, and then let's see if this works. Okay, that's weird. But anyway, we'll just untick it for now. So whenever we want to play the game and we want the game to rotate, we just tick the box, and if we don't want it to rotate, we just untick the box. So now I think that it's unticked in the inspector. I think it will stay unticked. So in other words, it will stay false until we go and tick it or change the value in our script. So that's done. We can tick that off the list. So I'm going to take that off the list, and then I want to go into the second level the second level. So in the first level, in yesterday's episode, we went and we changed our endpoint trigger over here. And what I want to do is I want to go into this endpoint trigger, just because we can, in our materials first. We are going to drag our green material on there. That appears to be yellow, kind of. Let's change that a little bit. So this, we want it to be yellow. Why is it green? Or is that just my eyes? Anyway, the color is not important. Let's see. Anyway, color's not important, but we'll leave it like that. And then in our level 2, so let's go disable level 1 and then enable level 2. We have to change this because we don't want our, let's open up our prefab. We don't want our endpoint trigger to be the sphere that we had the first time. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go and just copy our position. So we'll copy the position and then we'll go ahead and get rid of our sphere. And then I think all we have to do really is just drag in our endpoint trigger into our scene. There it is. And then, so it's over here. It's randomly put it, I don't know, somewhere in the scene. So there it is. So what we can do is we can just move it here and then, or we can just simply paste the position straight away. So there it is. Now the only thing we need to change is the Y position because we don't want it to be there. We want it to be somewhere, I think it's minus 0.5. So I think that's fine. So we'll save that. And now if we go back to our scene, we should see, I'm just going to check the position of the endpoint trigger. So this is at minus 0.5 and this one is also at minus 0.5. So that should be fine. Then we can go and disable this and then enable our first one, mainly because this one is positioned properly with our cube and it actually moves through the scene correctly. We'll go and fix the other thing in another episode. Let me just put that on the list because I forgot about that. Fix position of the cube in second level. But I think that is going to come down to the positioning of the levels when they go and get instantiated into the scene. So we'll handle that when we go and handle our next level button to load in our new level, and that involves working on our level manager script. So we have done that. So we fixed the level 2 endpoint trigger, so we'll take that off the list. So now what have we got? We've got create a level manager, we've got work on the positioning of the camera, fix the end level panel, and get the level complete button to load. Okay, so let's start working on our level manager to load and destroy our levels. So I believe in our previous episode we created a level manager script. Yeah, we did. So in here we are going to want an array of all of our different levels. So let us go and say we'll create a serialized field. This is going to be private game object, or it might be transform. Let's try transform. Transform. This is going to be an array, and then we'll call it levels. And that's pretty much it. So we'll save that, and then if we go back into the inspector, we should be able to see on our level manager, which should be here. On our script, we have an array now. So we've got two, so far we've got two levels, so we'll add them both into here. So we'll drag level 1 into there, and then we'll drag level 2 into there. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to go and position them let's just do this quick. So 3.5, and then this one needs to be at 0, or this one needs to be at 2.5 maybe. Okay, so we'll go and spawn in our first level as soon as our, okay, so that's sorted out. So I was just repositioning those in the scene so that when we go and instantiate our first level, because we're going to go and delete them out of our scene now, we want to put it in the exact position that we wanted to spawn in without having to move our cube into the correct location. Although we will do that later on, because when we create new levels for the rest of the game later on, the position of the cube will be harder to position because they're all going to be different, and we're going to want to spawn them in different places. So we're going to have to add a cube spawning location to each level maybe, and tell our level manager to, whenever you spawn the level, go ahead and place the moving cube, the one that you control, in the correct location. So the first thing we want to do here is we want to go and spawn in our first level. So to do that, we will have to instantiate the first level, which is just going to be the first element of our array. So on our managers here, you can see our level. In our levels array here, we have two elements. The first one is level 1 and the second one is level 2. What we're going to do is we are going to create, let's go and do this. Well, let's try. What we're going to do is we're going to create an empty object, and this is going to be called level spawner position. I think we can call it that. Level spawner position. So that is going to be situated in the middle of the scene, so that when we go and spawn our level, it's going to use that position as a reference to where we want our level to instantiate. So we could just, we could just use our actual level manager, but we can't do that because this is positioned somewhere else. So let's just go and reset that so that it brings it into our scene. So there it is. So we could just use our level manager because now that is positioned at 0, 0, 0 on the X and Y and Z axis, but why not? We'll make its own game object. So here we are going to want to call that reference. So we'll copy this just so that we don't have to type it out. And this is just going to be a game object. And this will be spawner position. We'll just add in level just to keep things consistent because we've named the actual game object level spawner position. So now let's go into the inspector. It should pop up there, which it does, and now we can drag it into there. So now we've got reference to that position. So what we're going to do here is, can we change this to transform? We should be able to. So that should update now. We might have to drag it in. So let's try and drag it in. Okay, cool. So now instead of accessing the transform off of our game object, we can just access the transform itself, because this is a transform and we can access its position off of the transform instead of going global, not global, but game manager dot transform dot position. We can just say level spawner position dot position. So just a shortcut. So I'll save that, and now my camera has disappeared. So give me a second to figure this out. All right, so we're back. So sorry for that. Didn't even realize that was gone, but sometimes it disconnects for who knows why. But we're back, and now let's go and instantiate our first level, or at least let's try. So what we're going to do is, when we first load up the game, we want our level to be there straight away. So we'll do that in our, actually we'll get rid of our start method just for now. Actually no, we'll bring it back and we'll do it in our start method. We'll get rid of our update method for now, and then in our start method we will go and say instantiate, I believe it is. What do we want? Our original. So this is going to be our levels. We're going to use our first one, I believe, and then we want to go and do it on our, I think it's our level spawner position dot position. And then we don't want a rotation, so can we just leave it like that? No, we can't. Rotation is going to be, what do we want to set our rotation to be? Nothing really. Let's look this up quick. Okay, here let's just go and say quaternion. Oh, what is it? Dot identity. All right, so that should be fine. So, oh, what am I doing? We'll save that, and then let's just test this out quick. So I'm going to delete both of these out of our scene. Actually, let's just disable them. So we'll disable them and disable both of them, and then press play, and now we should see our level being instantiated, which it does. Let's see if we can go and play it. So everything still works. We can still play it. Our level count in our corner here is still working. We've got 17. If we move up into our endpoint trigger, which is not... Wait, did that work properly? Let's see. So I feel like that worked. That instantiated, or didn't instantiate, but it triggered our endpoint trigger before we even went onto it. So let's just double check this. So we want it to only appear when we hit our, or when we go on top of it. So let's try that by navigating all the way to our game. So it's triggering one before, which is not what we want. So we'll have to figure that out later. But let's go and figure out if we can solve this one. So whenever we press our next level button, we want to go and load in our next level. So to do that, we can go and destroy the level that is currently in our game. So to do that, I am going to create a new... There might be an easier way to do this, but for now, let's just go and do this. We need to try and keep track of which level we're on. So I'm going to, in our global script, let's open that up. I'm going to create another integer variable. So we'll say public, if we can spell correctly, public static int. This is going to be our game, or let's just say current level, because that makes more sense. And then in our level manager, when we go and instantiate our first level, we are going to set that level to be the first level. But this is going to be confusing because it's not actually going to be the first level. Well, it is, but the number it's going to use is going to be 0, because the first level is actually at index 0 in our array. So to do this, let's go and say global, that needs to be capital, global dot current level is going to be equal to 0. What's the best way to do this? I'm trying to think. We'll leave it like that for now. And then we can go and set that to that, like that. And then in our next level, we are going to go and increase this. So this is going to be global level plus plus, because we're going to want to go to the next level. And then all we have to do is copy this and paste this here, I believe. And then that should hopefully load in our new level. But there is going to be one problem, and you'll see that now, if it actually works. So let's test this out and see what happens. So we have no level to start off with. The first one gets loaded in. As soon as we go to our endpoint trigger and... Oh, did that actually work? Why is that working now? Let's try that again. So it should say 24, but it also should... Okay, it doesn't work. But anyway, we'll fix it another time. So when we click on next level, our new level should be instantiated, which it does happen. So that's good. So what we don't want is, we don't want it to instantiate on top of our previous level. So we have to go and get rid of that level. And now that I think of it, this way that I was thinking is not going to work, because we need to somehow destroy the current level that we were on. and that is not really going to work because we don't really have any way, well, at least I don't think we do, of accessing that level unless we use the name of the level, which we don't really want because we don't really want to compare things by string. But we might have to do it, and also that when it instantiates it with 1 or the level number plus this clone in brackets. So we don't really want that. So I'm gonna have to come up with a different way to figure out how to do that. We might have to do that in the next level because I cannot think off the top of my head, or at least I can't think of a good solution for that. But let's see let's see what else is on the list. We have create a level manager, which we're doing. Work on the positioning, which we'll do in the next episode. Fix the end level, yeah. Okay, so let's do this. We will give this a rest for now, and we'll come back to this in tomorrow's episode, and we will fix I'll try and come up with a solution to try and fix the destroying of each level once it's complete. Actually, I could just add a script onto it and destroy it once it's been completed. But we'll come up with a different idea in tomorrow's episode and fix that for you so that we can carry on with this game. But that's it for today. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's episode. So enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye.